Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Citizens of Lorcana podcast, a podcast where we invite you to be a part of their world. Today, we're jumping right back into our most iconic card rankings. So, without further ado, let's jump into the episode. Hey everyone, welcome to another week. Last week, we talked all about the EU Continentals with Eric Schweitzer. So, if you haven't had a chance to go listen to it and you haven't heard enough about EU Continentals and all the news that broke, make sure to go back and give that a listen. Today, we're jumping back into our rankings for the most iconic Lorcana cards. But, James, how is it going?
Well, I got to do something pretty cool this last weekend. Myself and some other content creators were asked if we wanted to lend a hand to Ravensburger and D23, like we did in August, where we helped to teach people to play some Gateway at the D23 event at the Packing District.
Right.
And this time, let me bring up on the screen here a couple of photos. We got to do the same thing on the Walt Disney Studios lot.
That is so cool. So this is not part of Disneyland. This is where they make the movies and stuff.
Where they make movies and shows. This is up in Burbank. If you have ever been over, like driving on the freeway on the 134 over there, you can see from the freeway the animation building.
Yes.
And then behind that, on the other side of the street, is the lot where they have the stages and all that kind of stuff. After parking on the lot, you walk over, and I walked by stage 2, which is the Julie Andrews stage, because that's where they filmed Mary Poppins.
Aw, that is so cool.
Very cool. But anyway, this is over, if anyone has actually been there, this is in front of the studio store that is over there on the lot. And they put together this tent with these cool big old Mickey banners. This is what it looked like from the front. It's all decorated for Christmas. So what this is the Disney Studios puts on this for employees and D23 members. So on Thursday and Friday, Disney employees and their family members and friends are allowed to come, and there's this big special celebration. Like, you can't see it, but all around and down the paths and everything, there's booths and decorations and places where you can get like balloon animals and face painting and free hot cocoa and cotton candy, and they were giving away stuff. If you see where the Mickey banner is, that's on the right, behind that is a tent, and on a table were stacks of Ravensburger stuff to give away for the weekend. They gave away so much stuff.
So who'd you teach how to play Lorcana? Did you teach Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans? I mean, give us the juice here.
It was just a bunch of kids and up who wanted to learn. I mean, honestly, one of the fun things was quite a number of people stopped by who actually do know about Lorcana and collect the game, but had never learned how to play. They were collectors only. They're like, oh, you know what? This is a good chance for me to actually learn how to play this game I've been collecting for months. One of the fun things we got to do, here's another picture. So if you can see here, you can see some of the booths over there.
There's a Gateway product that I'm seeing. Is that what you taught with, or is that just one of the things?
We used Gateway, we used starter decks, and we also played Pack Rush.
Oh, okay.
So
did you have all the starter decks, or is it just from Azurite Seas?
Just Shimmering Skies. We had Shimmering Skies starter decks, and we had a whole bunch of packs to hand out during the employee nights on the D23 night. So after the 2 employee nights on Thursday and Friday, on Saturday, it was a ticketed D23 event where people who are D23 members could get a ticket and come and hang out on the Disney lot and do all of this stuff. And then here is some of the other folks who got to hang out and do this. On the right is Patrick from Lorcana Duo. In the back is Kevin from Lorcana Goons. I think in the red, I think his name was Sean. I'm bad with names, so forgive me. I think it's Carlos on the left there. But we were playing a multiplayer game before we actually had to start working.
So
and
cool.
it was funny because I had my like emerald amethyst deck, and Patrick had some sapphire deck that was really cool, and Carlos had an aggro deck, and Kevin had, I can't remember what he had, but it was like maybe like just a red purple or something, I don't know. But it was hilarious because Sean didn't have anything, and so he grabbed one of the starter decks, and we weren't able to finish the game, but he actually was winning. It was hilarious.
You should have brought your frozen deck. You should have brought it.
I should have brought my frozen deck. But no, it was hilarious that he was winning. He put out the one card that if he had the highest strength on the board, everyone loses one and he gains that many. So every time it worked like once or twice. So we would each lose one, but he gained 4.
Jeez.
So it was awesome. But that's what we did. That's what I did over the weekend. It was great. Met so many people, taught so many people how to play. There was at least, I think there was 6 to 8 of us there every single day of all 3 days, and all of us were basically either busy teaching someone how to play or handing out packs most days.
So like you were sitting there and then people were like, hey, I want to learn how to play Pack Rush, and you'd bust out Pack Rush, or would they come, they're like, hey, I just got these starter decks, teach me how to play? Like, how did that work?
Yeah, so they were walking up and they were like, what's going on here? We're like, well, have you heard about Lorcana? And you know, if they say, yeah, I've kind of seen it around, like, well, do you want to learn how to play? And they're like, yeah, sure, why not? And like, well, do you want to learn how to play the very like super intro way? Do you want to play with some starter decks, which is a little more advanced, or do you want to just hop right into playing the game with some Pack Rush, where you have no clue what's going on, but we'll teach you how to play, and you get some cards to go with it? And a lot of people picked. We did a mostly gateway and starter decks the first day, and then we're like, you know what, that's okay, but you know what, I think Pack Rush is more fun, so we tried doing more Pack Rush and kind of pushing that a little bit more the second day. And we actually ran out of packs like really fast. And this is despite the fact that we had multiple cases, I think, of booster boxes each day, and we still ran out of stuff both days. So it was crazy. It was
really
so
cool.
much fun. Yeah, and it was really nice that we got invited to do it. You know, and to help out and have a good time doing it. And I got to eat some Waltz chili on the lot, and I had some hot chocolate, and it was very cool.
So one last question. Was there a general difference between employee day versus D23 day as far as reception, interest?
I mean, the main difference was we weren't giving out packs on the D23 day. They handed those out as people came in, so they only got 1 pack each. And so mostly what it was only learn to play, and so there wasn't as much, I would guess, just like excitement of people getting a pack and opening it and seeing what it was, because they already had their packs. But it was basically the same thing. People still coming up and going like, oh, so Lorcana, you know, and you know, there were people, like I said, there were people showing up who were like, yeah, I know how to play. We have a league at my, you know, here at the office here on the lot. You know, they play with other
cool.
Disney fans on the lot.
Sorry, I just had to time out real quick. I'm gonna let my dog out of the room, but she just discovered there's a mirror in the corner, and she's looking at me in the mirror, and she looks really confused, like it's her first time realizing how mirrors work. It's kind of funny. She's just like locked on gaze at me in the mirror. Come on. Are you okay if I let Batman out? Okay. Well, that sounds like a really cool experience. And thanks for sharing. That would be a really cool opportunity. Man, if only I lived in Southern California.
Yeah, I know, right? And the fun thing was the Ravensburg employee who was our contact on site was Naomi.
Okay.
who works at Ravensburger, who used to work at Disney and was part of the Disney team who got Lorcana approved as a thing, and then moved around a bit, and now she's at Ravensburger working with Ryan Miller. So it's awesome.
It's one big circle,
right?
Okay.
She's really nice. All the Ravensburger people we've met are really nice. I mean, it's like you keep repeating yourself. No, I haven't met I can't wait to meet a mean Ravensburger employee.
Does not exist.
Doesn't
So we're gonna jump back into ranking our favorite, most iconic cards from the different cost. And again, this subject was inspired by a user in our Discord, Big Lou. And just to refresh everybody's opinion, Big Lou 154 asked, in your just and honorable opinion, what cards are the most iconic at their respective ink cost? Like, what would be the iconic 1-drop, 2-drop? So that's the general gist of it. The last time we did this, we got through 3 cost characters. So if you want to see how horribly we did, make sure to go back and check that. That was 2 episodes ago. So today, we're going to jump back right in, and we're going to start with some 4 cost cards. So I'm going to bring this up on my screen here.
And I guess I'm going to go first this week.
Yes. This one was you, right?
Was that one me? No, I think the other one was me, wasn't it?
Okay.
Was that me?
We flip-flopped, I think,
yeah,
after the 4 cost. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So I think this is a pretty obvious choice. Both of the ones we picked are obvious choices because they're both meta cards. But I picked Rapunzel, Gifted with Healing, the 4 cost, obviously 1/5, 2 lore, with the ability when you play this character, you may remove up to 3 damage from chosen character and gain card draw equal to the number of damage removed, which is amazing. The best card draw in Amber and the best card draw for a while in any other color except Amethyst.
This is absolutely my favorite card to play in Amber for the longest time. It's just so satisfying that you get to heal your character and draw up to 3 cards. Like, it was such a good card. And yeah, maybe it's not standing up to the test of time, but as you said, it was a staple in decks. I mean,
it's still being played. It's still being played in Steel Song, so
right. So it's still there, but it was a fun card.
Yep.
And I will say, like you said, our 2 choices were probably the obvious ones, but as we're getting into the 4, 5, 6 cost cards, there's a lot of really good cards. So I went with another card that is key to Steel Song. Well, it's not key, but it does see play. Prince Naveen, ukulele player. I can't bring myself to say ukulele or however it's properly announced. He came out set 5, so just last set, and he's the one where when you play him, you may play a song with cost 6 or less for free. And of course, the classic example is playing Ariel on turn 3 and drawing out a whole new world or grab your swords. And then turn 4, playing Prince Naveen to play that song for free. And if you do play a whole new world, then you can play another song with Ariel. Like, it's just absurd the amount of value that this card draws. And the other reason why it's iconic is just how much hype this card generated when it released. There were so many people that said this was going to be one of the best cards of the set. And I mean, maybe it wasn't the best card of the set, but it definitely saw and sees a lot of play.
It was top 3 for sure.
Yeah.
I think.
Maybe that should be our next thing. Rating the top cards from each set.
It's like, oh, look, it's all the same cards again.
Yeah, probably.
All right, so this one, I mean, we can basically do this as a combo because it's pretty obvious what the ones are going to be in Amethyst.
Well, again, there's so many 4 cost ones that,
and we have a new one coming, but so mine's the GOAT because it's the GOAT. It's right in the name. It's the greatest of all time. This is the 4/3 1 lore character that when you play it and when it enters play, when it leaves play, it gains you 1 lore. This card is responsible for many last second game win lots of fun reactions when this comes down, when you top deck it. I mean, it's just so much fun. So that's why this is iconic.
So much fun if you're the one playing it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, but yeah, this was the first card that introduced lore gain that wasn't tied directly to questing, if I remember right.
It might have been, yeah. I mean, it was only the second set, so there couldn't have been much else, right? I mean, besides Aladdin with the challenging.
Yeah, yeah,
It's a straight up free lore.
yeah. I mean, you play it and you get a lore. I mean, it's pretty crazy. And then because it's an amethyst, you can bounce it right back out. So, I probably would have chosen the new genie on this one, just because I think genie is kind of taking the spot here. But in honor of the rules of villainy, who we had on as guest not too long ago, they said that this is the best. I think it was Andy said that this was the best card in Lorcana. Period. So we have Merlin Rabbit. Oh, another Merlin. This is the card that when you play, same as Goat, you get to draw a card instead of getting a lore. And then when the card leaves the table, you get to draw another card. So again, just the whole bounce package combined with Madam M. Fox and Snake. This whole package is just, it's iconic. I mean,
Yep.
it's really hard to argue with this.
I think we put like four of the 3 or 4 of the pieces of the package into this best ofs because the whole package is iconic.
Yeah, I mean, greatest hits for sure. So, anything else you wanted to say about that?
Nah, it's everybody knows this is good.
Okay. Yeah.
Emerald. So it's weird because Emerald has some like multiple amazing 3 drops and multiple amazing 5 drops, but the 4 drops are kind of like lacking, I think.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
So I picked the Tinkerbell, most helpful, 2/3 with 2 lore and evasive, and the ability when you play this character, chosen character gains evasive this turn. And mainly because this thing enabled so much fun and good play and some interesting moves that lasted for a little while, actually. And technically, you can still consider her for decks today because of the ability of giving something evasive while being a really good character like she already is. People would do the thing, especially when we had such limited amounts, when people would do the thing where they would give Simba, the small Simba bodyguard, the evasive so they could attack something else because their other character didn't have evasive. So it was just little lines of play like that were fun. That make this iconic.
Yeah. Yep. That was a sneaky play. I remember the first time somebody suggested that as a possibility.
Yeah.
That's what happened to my little mind. Mine that I chose, and this was strictly based off of watching Zan play at the Las Vegas DLC, the DLC that he won. I chose the Muses. I knew this card was good, but I think Zan displayed just how great this card was. And this is the one that says whenever you play a song, you may return chosen character with 2 strength or less to their player's hand. And this is just a really great way to either control your opponent's board, or if you have a rabbit on your side, you play a song, you can send rabbit back to your hand and draw a card. Or, I think people use this. Yeah, you could use this with Ariel Singer. Bounce her back to your hand, play her again, and dig for another song. Like, there's just this is such a versatile card that you don't know what's going to come from it.
And it has wards, so it's very difficult to deal with.
Right. Yes. Those pesky cards with ward.
Pesky.
All right.
So now we're gonna do Ruby, and again, it's a little lacking in just massively iconic cards because mainly because Ruby is mostly used with Ruby Amethyst, and Amethyst 4 drops take the cake with the goat and the rabbit.
Yeah.
So I picked Goofy Super Goof, 2/4 1 lore with Rush and the ability when this character challenges another character, gain 2 lore. Who doesn't love free lore? And it has Rush, so you can do it as soon as you play it. So it's a surprise 2 lore that your opponent doesn't know about.
Yeah.
And so I think that, and plus it's Goofy and it's Super Goof, and he's just awesome.
There was no doubt in my mind that you were going to choose this card. Yeah, I've had opponents play this card against me. It's hard to like plan against because you want to execute your own plan, and you never know if your opponent has a super goof that's going to rush the board and wipe out one of your characters and gain 2 lore, or just like get that 2 lore push that they need to get closer to winning the game.
Yeah.
It's definitely a surprise in the same vein that Go-Go is for Emerald now.
Right.
All right. So again, like you said, there weren't a whole lot of choices, but this is definitely a card. Be King Undisputed. It definitely saw its play during its time. Doesn't see a whole lot of play anymore, but the nice thing about it, so this is the one each opponent chooses and banishes one of their characters. But the nice thing about this is you can sing it. And the nice thing about this is that if your opponent only has a character like the Muses on board that have ward and you couldn't touch otherwise, this is one way to get around that and get, those warded characters off your opponent's board. So it's a good card, and we saw the same effect on the new Scar that came out, but I don't know how much that sees play.
The Lady Tremaine has the same effect.
Lady Tremaine has this. Oh, I was thinking of
the
deal 2 to yourself,
yeah.
deal 2. Yeah.
Now, Lady Tremaine has this. Actually, it was funny because in our multiplayer game over the weekend, Tremaine was played, and it was essentially a board clear because everyone only had like 1 or maybe 2 characters out, and everyone had to pick one. So almost like over half the board got wiped with just a Lady Tremaine being played because it's all opponents.
Yeah, that's pretty brutal.
Yeah, it was. All right, moving on to
our multiplayer game when I played Under the Sea.
Yeah, right. Oh, that was brutal.
Oh man, I'm jealous that I did not pick this card. I don't know what I was thinking.
Yeah, what were you thinking?
I really wasn't, and not only that, there are other cards that I probably would have chosen too.
Now,
but...
yeah, Sapphire has multiple four cost cards that could be chosen, but I think that Hiram Flaversham Toymaker is obviously the best that is possible because it's just card. It gave Sapphire all the card draw it needed, and still does.
Yeah, I compare Hiram to Atlas from the Greek mythology that's carrying the world on his shoulders.
Yeah,
that's Hiram carrying Sapphire. I don't think, maybe now Sapphire's at a point where it doesn't need him, but he definitely carried Sapphire for many sets and still does.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you have more card draw, but I don't think you'll ever have enough until you have as much card draw as Amethyst does, and this is the only way to get it is with him. So the ability is when you play this character and when he quests, you may banish one of your items to draw 2 cards. And what really enabled this to just go from good to great was the popsicle. That was a 1-cost item that replaced itself. So, in conjunction with Tamatoa being able to pull that item back, you could just have this cycle of drawing all the cards you needed to find all the answers you needed and just have a handful of stuff in Ruby Sapphire that just answered anything you needed to answer. So it's just crazy.
I remember playing against a lot of Ruby Sapphire decks at the Vegas DLC, and between Hiram popping popsicles and Visions of the Future and all those cards, it's like your opponent was drawing cards nonstop and they were always digging for their answers. So
exactly.
I'm changing mine from what I had planned already. And the reason why you changed my mind when you were talking about Alice for the 3 drops, this is Belle, Strange But Special from the first set. She was the first card that how do you describe this effect? So when there are 10 or more cards in your inkwell, she gains +4 lore. So she goes from a 1 lore character to 5 lore character.
Bonus lore.
Yeah, bonus lore, different win con.
But she also had the ramping ability.
She also has the ramping ability, yes, like Fishbone Quill. So I mean, she's just a great card. She's never fully taken off, but I mean, in the right circumstance, this card is just deadly.
Yeah.
The thing that would really break this card if she had ward like the muses.
Well, there is that new Alice that can give
Right?
someone ward that can be played on turn 3 and protect her when she comes down now.
Yeah, it's true.
Yep. But yes, great card. Awesome art. Has an enchanted that everybody loves. So very cool. In steel, my choice is again, for some reason, steel is lacking in 4-drop iconic cards, I think. So I had to pick the one that's quickly becoming iconic, and that is Pluto Guard Dog from the current set. A 1/5 1 lore character with bodyguard, but with the very cool ability that when there is no damage on this character, he gets an extra 4 strength, so he becomes a 5/5.
This is
And
like a better version of Lawrence.
yes, and because the bodyguard too, you don't get the extra lore, but I mean you're playing both of them. Now your Lawrence is protected, and this one's taking all the damage at first. And at 5/5, it's just crazy strong. It's a crazy good card,
And it's an uncommon.
and it's an uncommon. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good card. I took probably the most obvious one. So sorry about that. I took, and then along came Zeus. How many cards are we highlighting that are from Steel Song or Bounce Package?
Right. Or the Ruby Amethyst ramp package.
Right.
Ramp control.
Yeah. Yep. So along came Zeus. It's a 4-cost song. You can deal 5 damage to chosen character or location, which I'm old enough to remember when locations were a more viable threat than they are during the set.
Mm-hmm.
But this card was versatile and that it was able to deal with both of them. You could play that Naveen and play Along Came Zeus for free. Get rid of the Hiram. No, he's 6, right?
Yeah.
So almost
anything else.
You can get rid of you can get rid of a lot of stuff. So this is a good card.
Yeah. Yeah. Many a character has gone away thanks to that card. All right, that's it for the 4 drops. We're on to the 5 drops in Amber, and I think we have a few good, solid choices here. And I picked the Queen, Commanding Presence, a 4/3 character with 2 lore, shift at 2, and the ability when this character quests, chosen opposing character gets -4 strength, and then chosen character gets +4 strength. And this thing was so versatile. If you just took away the ability, this thing would have been powerful because you were able to shift on 2 and sing a whole new world and disrupt the entire game for your opponent and go on to win, typically.
Shifting a 5-cost character in turn 2 is just crazy.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, you're right. Because you're shifting her, she can sing those 5-cost songs, whether it's a whole new world or grab your swords. Which, I mean, you probably don't want to play grab your swords at that point in the game, but you could.
Yep. And the thing is that with the ability now, you also have the ability to have your 1-cost weak character to run into their expensive high value character and survive and banish it. Or as Steel Song players were used to doing back before there was more removal, you would play World's Greatest Criminal Mind and give chosen opposing. It says chosen character, not chosen character of yours, to give +4 strength. So you can give 4 strength to one of their characters and then use World's Greatest Criminal Mind to banish it. So very useful, multiple uses for this character, and that's why she is iconic.
Yeah. Definitely one of those tricks like you were talking about with Tinkerbell, giving bodyguarded characters evasive. I chose, this one was obvious.
Yeah.
Mufasa. This is a single card that a whole deck has been built around. the red Fossa, the green Fossa, blue Fossa. So many cards. Oh, yes. So this is the card that when he's banished, you can reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a character card, you may play that character for free, and they enter play exerted. Otherwise, put it on top of your deck. I mean, this is just a fun deck because if you're playing Ruby and you top deck a Maleficent, or you're playing Steel and top deck a Goofy, like It's just, but I mean, more often than not, I was like top decking Flounder, you know?
I will never forget in the very first weekly on a Saturday after this set came out, I had rushed from downtown Disney buying the D100 set and threw my deck together and played an event. And I think it was in either the very first match or the second match. He came down, the opponent banished it, and what came down was Surfer Stitch, and I had 2 characters on board, and I drew 2 cards, and my opponent's like, just looked at it like, what do I do with this?
Yeah, that's the kind of crazy stuff that this Mufasa can do. And
So it was awesome.
I think that this is a card that will always have a place in the meta.
Yeah, it's usable. I mean, it's so nice, and it's a 3/3. It's got 2 lore. I mean, why not use it, right? You throw a couple of them in every once in a while just to see what happens.
Yeah. Yep. You never know.
All right, so on to Amethyst, and we're off to what is turning out to be one of the best cards from Shimmering Skies, which as soon as I saw this card, I knew it was going to be good, but apparently it turned out to be even better than I thought because it's everywhere in Amethyst decks, all versions of them almost, and it's Elsa the Fifth Spirit, 2/5 with 1 lore. It has both Rush and Evasive, and the ability when you play this character, exert chosen opposing character. Such a powerful ability, so good, and amazing art. So good that they made a playmat of it. This set, which I have, and I don't know if I've been changing playmats every set, and I don't know if I'll be changing playmats going forward until it gets destroyed. Probably.
I'm sure you have like 2 or 3 backups.
I do.
But yeah, that ability to exert the opposing character is just so clutch. It's like, you and Eric, you were playing that Pinocchio, I think, in set 2 to exert, the opposing character. This one just does it, and she has Rush, which is so good. And she has Evasive. So she can hit those stupid Diablos. Maybe a little too late, but she could.
Now it's hitting the genies and the go-go's.
Right.
So very good. Because now this, if you play your own genie on 4, now this and your own genie can take out their genie on the turn it's played. So all they get out of value is a card draw instead of some lore out of it.
All right. I chose just a vanilla character, Winnie the Pooh, Honey Wizard, because to this day, this came out in set 2, but to this day, this is still one of the most talked about art cards in the set. Like, if nothing else, it is iconic for that reason. John Loren just knocked it out of the park. And they've done sleeves, they've done a playmat, they've done the lore counter, and was there something else that they did?
The deck box with the sleeves at the same time.
Yeah.
So you can bling out your Pooh wizardness when you play for everything. Yeah, this is actually the playmat I use for at my desk here for streaming.
Nice. Yeah, so I mean, it's not iconic for its playability, but the art.
Yeah, which is sad. That is the only drawback to this. Is everyone's like, why couldn't you have put this on a meta card just so everyone can see it all the time?
Well, I think that's something that was said in one of the interviews that they did with Stephen Ryan. Was they were like, a lot of times we create the card before the art is made, and I think it was Ryan. He's like, when I saw Honey Wizard, I felt like we were shortchanging him.
Yeah. But then they made playmats, deck boxes, deck sleeves, lore counter. They made sure it was out there all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna go to Emerald, and I let you pick the most iconic one, I think, and I picked this one. And now there's a lot of 5-drops. There's so many different 5-drops, and this one I picked similar to the Honey Wizard. It's not really played a lot. It's the Robin Hood Sneaky Sleuth, just an uncommon 3/5, 1 lore, shift 3, with the ability this character gets +1 lore for each opposing damaged character in play. It doesn't see play, but look at that art. It's amazing. Just it's Nicholas Cole knocking it out of the park again. The illuminary behind him as if it was a moon. The pose, Robin Hood looking just like the coolest dude ever.
Did you watch the Hobbies and Happiness where Eric was on it?
Yes, where he played
That
the
that's
Robin
what this
Hood
card reminds me of, and
Yeah,
this card just crushed that multiplayer game.
yeah. This and the other Robin Hoods together is just amazing.
All right, so I don't know if it's the most iconic, probably, but this one is in honor of my friend, our friend, Mr. Y Breezy, Cusco from Set One, Temperamental Emperor. He has that ward, what that we were talking about, that's so difficult to get around. He has 3 lore and the ability No Touchy. When this character is challenged and banished, you may banish the challenged character, the challenging character. So this card is just this was a beast in Set One, and
Yeah.
I know it quickly got replaced in Set Two and beyond. But I think because it's such a fan favorite because of Y Breezy, this card will forever be iconic in the Lorcana community.
I mean, it has to be somewhat iconic because they did a foil alternate art version for the special, championship card for Europe and North America.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
So, and we could have done, we don't talk about Bruno or whatever, Lucifer, or whatever other cards are always seeing play at
Yeah.
the 5-drop spot. I mean, we could do the Bell hidden, the
Yep.
Archer, just for the iconicness of being the most like teeth gnashing card when it was released that never saw play.
Yes, you are not wrong.
Oh man, so many fun cards.
All right.
But let's move on to Ruby. And again, I took the most iconic one. There's a lot of good cards in Ruby, of course, but this one takes the cake. Maui Hero to All, 6/5 with Rush and Reckless. It doesn't earn you any lore, but it does everything else.
I can't see a world where this card is not good, and I'm sure the day will come. But this was put out in Set One, and it's still a staple in every Ruby deck. I feel.
Yeah, I've seen Ruby decks, and even in Ruby deck I'm playing, I went down to 3 of these, and it feels wrong. It's like this. There should be 4 of them because it's just such a powerful card, but there's so many new cards and so many good cards to fit in. You gotta have to make room somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you have to get rid of the Maui though?
And the thing is that I think Steve mentioned, either Steve or Ryan again mentioned it, that everyone looks at this and it's like it's way overpowered for the cost, based on if you look at the other cards around it, and they're like sometimes you just got to throw something a little strong in at a certain cost just to mix things up and throw in some spice into the set. And this is one of those cards.
Bend the rules, but don't break it. This one
Yep.
definitely bends the game. Yeah.
A lot.
As somebody who was like principled against playing Ruby, just because I hated it, this card was a bane of my existence for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, I chose just because this is Jim Hawkins, Space Traveler. When you play this character, you may play a location with cost 4 or less for free. When you play a location, this character may move there for free. I chose this one. I know it doesn't see a whole lot of play, but again, this is one of those ones that was really hyped up. People were really kicking up possibilities for location based decks because it does provide a whole lot of value. I mean, playing a 5-cost character and you get to put out the Queen's Castle, for example, 4-cost location, and move there, which costs another ink to move for free. So you're getting like 5 inks worth of value for free just by playing this card. So it definitely has a lot of potential, and with better locations, it's just going to get better.
Yeah. And this combines now with the new Sugar Rush finish line, where you play him out, you put him at a location, and then very next turn you can play the Sugar Rush Speedway, and guess what? He moves there for free because he moves when you play it, and you can immediately take advantage of that ability and get 3 lore and 3 cards. So yeah, he's definitely a good card in a location deck, but of course location decks are not meta right now. But he will always be powerful. And when a location deck does become meta, I think he's probably going to be a part of it.
Yeah, he'll definitely be a centerpiece. Yep.
All right, on to Sapphire. And we had, again, multiple choices, but I picked, I'm like a broken record with these, some of these choices, right?
Frozen cards.
Frozen cards. Let it go. It's luckily so many frozen cards are powerful cards. The Let It Go song that lets you put a chosen opposing character into their inkwell face down and exerted, so you can get rid of something that is bothering you for free. It does give them some ink, which can be a detriment, but hey, at least it's not on the board causing you problems, right?
As somebody who likes playing Sapphire, this card was like a double-edged sword because Sapphire on its own does not have a lot of good removal options. There was this and there was Hades in the beginning, but both of those cards benefited your opponent. It's just like, oh man, why can't we be like Ruby and just get rid of their character? But yeah, when you're in a pinch and your opponent has Tomatillo on the board and they're threatening to quest for 14 points next turn, playing a nice little Let It Go to get rid of that Tomatillo and put it into their inkwell, that's a good way to deal with that threat.
And it's just more example of the way that they've balanced this game, where you sure will give other colors than Ruby removal, but it's conditional, or there's some kind of price to pay for using the removal that they're given in those other colors.
Yeah, for sure. All right. I don't know if this is the most iconic card, but there was a time where Mr. Old Man Cogsworth had his day in the sun. I mean, this was a card that made a Sapphire Steel a thing. When you had Grandpa Cogsworth on the board, he has Ward and the ability your other characters gain resist +1. Every character, no exception, except for himself. And then when you had two of these guys on board, it was pretty much impossible to come back and win at that point because they could just clear your board and you had really no good options to fight back.
Yep. I mean, outside of a Be Prepared or something,
Yeah.
there wasn't much.
Ruby.
Always Ruby. Oh, yeah. You want an answer? Look at Ruby.
Oh man, this makes me think of Rules of Villainy too. Resist. It's the best keyword.
This is definitely something to consider because we are in a fairly challenge heavy meta, and resist is definitely worth considering with the new Calhoun, giving Calhoun extra resist. All the other characters that need it, I mean, yeah, it's definitely something to consider. It's playing something like Blue Steel again.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, we're moving on to Steel, and there were
So many.
way too many odd things to try and figure out here. So I went with the one that is, again, meta shaping a whole new world, the song that you discard your hand and draw 7 new cards, both you and your opponents. So powerful, game disrupting, game breaking, game making. Just such a powerful card and so good. If you're the one playing it, sometimes really good if you're not the one playing it. Sometimes it refills your hand and you end up with all the answers, but still, it's a great card and one of the cards that everybody, when people talk about ban lists and such, this is usually one of the first 2 or 3 cards mentioned.
I literally had that thought come into my mind, and I was gonna say that when you were done. So yes,
Yeah.
that's when you know a card is a bend but don't break type of card. And some people think that maybe this is a break type of card.
Yeah.
I struggled because there's so many good ones.
Like Grab the Sword and Robin Hood and
I at first chose Robin Hood,
yeah,
and then I
that's
was
what
like,
I thought you might, but I was like, I don't know what you're gonna pick because there were so many good ones.
I had to go with Sad Boy Beast, just because of what he represents. I mean, Robin Hood also represents. I mean, he gets 2 lore whenever he banishes a character. He also, when he's banished, gets a draw card. But Sad Boy Beast, if you can get him on the table, turn 3 even, if you can get him on the table and just have him sitting there drawing extra cards, that is so much value. And if the opponent isn't able to deal with the beast, he's just a constant threat. He just sits there, and then when he does have damage on him, he gets the +4. Otherwise, he gets +4 this turn. So he can take out one of your big threats. So
yeah.
He's just a good card.
Yep. And I mean, he's good because he's also like the only expensive card in Rise of the Floodborn.
He's still clocking in at 33.55 here.
That's crazy. All right, that's it for 5 cost. Let's move on to 6.
Okay.
All right, so we're starting to have limited choices here as the cards decrease in quantity.
I did not realize just how big of a drop off there were in cards,
right?
As the numbers went higher.
It was drastic. When I was looking at 5s, I'm like, oh, look at all these choices, and then I go to 6, and I'm like, oh, there's not many choices.
Yeah.
So I picked Perdita, Devoted Mother, a 1/6/2 lore with the ability when you play this character and when she quests, you may return a character with 2 cost or less from your discard pile and play it for free. This was the first time you could play a card for free from your discard without any conditions. It just got into play. The only condition was it had to be 2 or less cost, which is fine because there's plenty of good 2-cost cards. Smee and Piglet and the Rush Stitch.
Rocket Stitch, yeah.
So many good cards. Now, unfortunately, she's not shiftable. She's uninkable. She's 6 cost. So there's a lot of limitations, but someone like this, maybe in a Mufasa deck,
yep,
she could come out for free, and all of a sudden you have 2 characters come out for free. Really awesome move. And there just weren't many other options, but I think she's probably the second best card in the 6 drops in Amber.
Yeah, no, I think you left the best one for me, and it's this guy right here, Stitch Rockstar. Number 1, iconic because it was part of the D23 set. Those first 6 or 7 cards that were released, and everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, what is Floodborn? What does that mean? This is a Rockstar instead of Elvis." Number 2, amazing ability when you play this character with. Whenever you play a character with cost 2 or less, you may exert it and draw a card. And then number 3, as if this card art wasn't good enough itself, it had this alternate art treatment that was the first set championship promo card that everybody went crazy for because it was the first set championship. It was a playable card, and the art is just out of this world again. Another Nicholas Cole here.
And it's funny because most people, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but the Nicholas Cole art on the set champ card was actually the first art. And then the art done for the regular release was done after.
I did not even realize that. That's cool.
Because Nicholas Cole actually created the look of Rockstar Stitch. And then I would butcher the name if I tried to read it without seeing it right in front of me, and I don't have it in front of me. So the awesome artist who did the version that's on the card, did it after the fact. So yeah, it's pretty awesome. And I wonder how many other versions of this are out there, because I would love to see the different versions of the Rockstar Stitch.
Right.
All right. Again, limited choices in Amethyst. So I'm gonna go back to my mainstay here and pick Sven, official Ice Deliver. And now I'm not picking this because the card is good, because it is a very generic vanilla 5/7 1 lore card. There's nothing special about this card. But this card is very fun and important for Lorcana lore history, because this card was revealed by a reporter at the LA Times and nobody saw it for 4 days. And
I remember that.
This is when we only had like 5 cards revealed besides the D23 cards. There were so few cards revealed. And so everybody was hungry for more cards. And this one had sat on the internet for anyone to see, and nobody saw it for like 4 days.
And I was very active on Twitter at that time,
right?
And Discord. And I cannot believe that I did not see this. Yes, I remember this.
And you know, you, me, a lot of people were like, we had Twitter up with the Lorcana as a search, and apparently, when they tweeted it out from the LA Times, the only time Lorcana was mentioned was at Disney Lorcana, the Twitter account, and apparently that doesn't get searched in if you just type Lorcana in your search, unless you type. I mean, basically, it was just like there was like little search reasons why no one found it, but then I think it was the community manager at the time or something was like, "Hey, did you guys happen to see this?" And we're like, "What?" It was
Yeah.
hilarious. So
Yeah.
that's why I picked Sven, because he was iconic because of the history of how he was revealed.
Yeah. Good times. Good memory. Like you said, there's not a whole lot of options for Amethyst. There is one good option though, and you were kind enough to leave this for me, and it was Yzma. 6 cost. She has the ability again, because Amethyst isn't blessed with removal like Ruby. This is one form of removal for Amethyst. When you play this character, shuffle another chosen character card into their player's deck. That player draws 2 cards. And again, this is another one they have to be strategic about. You can get rid of one of your opponent's characters that's hugely threatening. Or if you're in need of card draw, you can put one of your characters back into your deck and draw a couple cards. So,
The fun one was doing your own rabbit, so you can draw 3 cards.
right, right.
I did that
So,
a few times.
and we also did an interview with the artist of this card, Casey Robin. And so, whenever I see this card, I think of everything that went into making this card.
That's awesome.
Okay.
All right. Let's move on to Emerald. And I picked the one that I think is probably the coolest card, and that's Genie on the Job. 3/4 lore with evasive, and the ability when you play this character, you may return chosen character to their player's hand. This card was awesome because it was such a good tempo swing. Unfortunately, it's uninkable, so it was hard to play, but it's a very powerful card because there is no limitation. There's no 2 cost or 2 strength or whatever like some of the other bounce package cards have, where you're bouncing their stuff back. But also, you could pick your own character. Right? It just says chosen character. It doesn't say chosen opposing character.
You know what I think about when I see this card? Remember when we had like, I don't know, maybe 30 cards revealed, and we were so eager to play Lorcana that we took whatever cards we had, and the original meta when there was like 30, 40 cards was Pascal on one for Amethyst and Genie on the Job. Like Genie was so good in that 40 card format. Oh my gosh. But yes,
that was so long ago.
so long ago. But yeah, this is a card that I mean you could still see this card seeing play.
We considered it for our Emerald Amethyst deck going to Vegas. There's like, it's just the unconditional bounce on play, and you can bounce it with the Madam Mims. Made it a very good choice. I mean, not a good choice, but a valid choice to put a 1 of in there just to use. And we played some games with it, and it did work, but it's just the uninkable really hurt it.
Yeah. All right, I chose a card that I really want to love.
Yeah.
I love this. I love this card when it works. I got this card in draft one time, and I got I can't remember what else I got. But this card was a workhorse. Sorry, it's Beast, 6 cost, with the ability whenever an opposing character is damaged, you may ready this character. I mean, yeah, this came out at the same time as Cogsworth, so I think I had Cogsworth on the board, the one that gives +1 resist, and I had Beast, and it just controlled my opponent's board. I mean, so much fun. If you can get Beast to go off, it's so good. But you rarely do. So,
Yeah.
but I think this card is iconic because it's another one that people were really excited about. And I mean, honestly, in 6 costs, there aren't a whole lot of options.
No, you got the new Mother Gothel. You got the again the awesome Robin Hood art where Nicholas Cole threw down the gauntlet on Robin Hood art with that 6-cost card, and then threw it down again with the 5-cost one that we talked about that I picked.
Wait. This was John Loren.
That's John Lawrence. So he threw down the gauntlet, and then Nicholas Cole answered.
Yeah.
All
Okay.
right, let's move on to now the next one in Ruby. We basically can do these together because they're who it is. It's the ladies in red, the ladies in chairs, whatever you want to call them. Madame Medusa, the boss, and Lady Tremaine, Imperious Queen. You pick one, I pick the other. Doesn't matter. We pick them both, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And so the abilities are slightly different, and the stats are a little bit different. One is 1, one has 2 lore. One's a 3/4, one's a 4/4. But Madame Medusa gets rid of any character 3 strength or less, and Lady Tremaine, your opponent must pick a character to get banished. Both powerful, both for whatever, they have both uses, and they're both used today. They're both in almost every single Ruby Amethyst deck that is built. For a while, Tremaine maybe dropped out a little bit, but she's still a one of just to have.
Well, it's just such a huge tempo swing when you can just flick a character off your opponent's board.
Right? It's crazy good. And on 6-drop, right when they're playing some of their best characters, their Robin Hoods, their Beasts, whatever it may be. Oh, wait, no. Guess what? You don't get to use it. It's gone.
Bye-bye.
Of course, if you're playing against them, you don't like it very much.
No.
Okay, Sapphire. So I'm surprised we didn't pick one of the cards, but I'm picking what was both one of the funnest cards for the art, but also one of the most used cards in Sapphire for a set or two, I think at least. And that is Gaston, Intellectual Powerhouse, a 4/4, 3 lore, shift 4 character, even though I don't think he was ever shifted. Not very often. But when you play this character, you may look at the top 3 cards of your deck and put one in your hand and the rest at the bottom. So it was very good card filtering on a body, and it was a 4/4, so it couldn't get Medusa and it earned 3 lore. So, and the art is hilarious because it's Gaston planning again how he's going to beat the beast finally with an actual plan, or he thinks it's a plan, I guess. But that's why I picked it.
Yeah, it's pretty iconic. Well, now I'm curious to know which one you're surprised I didn't pick.
The Ariel that we revealed.
Yeah, that's true.
Because that's also 3 lore and can go up to 5, and is used in conjunction with the dime for some pretty fast lore gains.
Well, this is just the nostalgia nerd in me, but I went with the 6-cost Robin Hood. Again, another D23 card. And this, I'll be honest with you, this was the card that made me fall in love with Lorcana, and that's why I chose it. That's why it's iconic for me, because this card is just so cool. The art, the pose, the color, the ability. Like, when I first saw this, and I was like, hey, this card does card draw. I knew really nothing about card games at the time, but I knew card draw was good. So I'm like, this is going to be a really good card. I mean, it doesn't really see play. It never really did. Like, there was a time, I think in set 1, where it saw play, but really didn't see a whole lot of play. But I think this is iconic because it was one of those D23 cards. And it really was the first card that just made my heart skip a beat. Like, oh my gosh, I love this art.
Yeah. Such pretty art. I wonder if we're ever going to get a mat or something of that.
Yeah. Yep. I thought you were going to say this one was iconic because it has Flounder in it.
No, but we did get to reveal that card, so I think that's iconic because of that reason.
Well, that is pretty iconic. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to move on to Steel now. And there was one, slam dunk, no doubt choice. So I picked another card. And I picked Aerial Sonic Warrior, the card that just came out recently.
Recently.
It's
2 sets ago. Well, set 4.
Already? Set 4? Jeez, I thought it was last set. It's a 3/8, 2 lore, shift 4, with the ability when you play a song, you may spend 2 to do 3 damage to chosen character. Now, this is a very powerful card that does not see play very much at all, unfortunately. I know some people have tried it in their Steel Song, and it does do some good work, but it also is a little slow. I don't know. It feels like it should be way better than it currently is. And even when Steve Warner mentioned that this card was actually supposed to be in set 1, but they felt it was too powerful for set 1, so they moved it.
Yeah, he did say that on our podcast.
Right? But I mean, it's a 3/8. I mean, that's such a nice card. But I mean, if it was just had one more strength, I think this card would get played all the time.
Yeah. Dies to Medusa.
Yeah, just unfortunate.
I will say another one. This one here, Hercules. Zach Bivens really put this on the map, and so I think was this the Hercules?
I think it might
No,
have.
this was the Hercules. Yeah. Anyway, but the one that you were talking about that was a slam dunk is the one that I went with, and it's Tinkerbell, Giant Fairy. It's the one where when you play this character, deal 1 damage to each opposing character. And whenever you banish an opposing character, you get to deal 2 damage to another character. And this card is just so... Oh, and she's shift 4. So you had that... Was it a 2-cost, 3-cost Tinkerbell that you could exert and filter your deck, and then you could play this one right on top of her.
Right. Play Tink on 3, play Tink on 4, profit.
And I mean, just the ability to deal 2 damage to a chosen opposing character, so good.
And she keeps staying alive in decks and even being put into new decks. Like, I don't know how often she was played in Amethyst Steel, but now with that brand new evasive Tinkerbell as a 3-drop, you would now have the choice to play her in Amethyst Steel decks to really have some good damage and a really powerful character coming down on turn 4. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think this will always be a good card.
And I mean, the art is just amazing, and it's so amazing that this was one of the first pieces of art that they used when they went to just picking art on playmats instead of using it from the current set. So
yeah,
obvious good one. Okay, now we're basically at our time limit, but we also have very few cards left.
Very few cards. We have 7 cost. We have 8 cost.
9s and 10s.
9s and 10s. So
all right. So next episode, we're going to wrap up the year with the final ranking.
Sorry. Okay, that's a me thing. Anyway, we do have some news though.
We do.
Yes, we have some news.
Okay.
Then we'll get to Martin Karp's question. Oceanic DLC was announced in Australia, Melbourne. Top 2 winners are going to get a spot to Worlds, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, top 2, because everyone was thinking like, wait a second, if the only way to get into Worlds is as a DLC champion, and there was only one champion, then Worlds is going to have 27 people. How does that work? We were talking about that last week.
Yeah, I know.
They just decided to change the rules and take the top 2.
What can we say? We have a lot of sway. They heard us and like, we got to change.
I think maybe they knew. I think maybe they knew they were going to have issues. Now this still is like, so when is Worlds? It's like, this is in February, so it has to be after that. It has to give them time to like make travel arrangements. So are we looking like April, May,
March? It has to be March.
It can't be. It doesn't have to be March.
Why?
It can be later.
But when was the first DLC?
May.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So it could be April.
Yeah. You could go right from Worlds right into the next season, like a few weeks later.
Okay. March or April. If I were a betting man, that's what I'm betting on.
I'm going to say April. If it's in March, it's going to be like the last weekend in March.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Was there any other news?
No, I don't think so. I looked. That's the only real one that I saw.
All right. Okay.
But we did have another user submitted question from Martin Karp. This is actually part 2 of a question he asked last time. He said, pick a movie and replace all the characters with Muppets -1. And the example that he chose was Jaws, for example, but leave the shark as a non-Muppet. So, James, do you have a movie that you'd replace with all Muppet characters -1? And who would the -1 be?
-1. You know what? I think it would be hilarious if all of the Muppets were the Marvel heroes in Avengers, Infinity War, and Endgame, and Thanos was the only one who was not.
That would be pretty funny. Kermit as Iron Man, of course.
Yeah.
the eagle as Captain America.
Yep. This is hilarious. Dr. Honeydew as Doctor Strange.
Oh man. Okay. So I thought in a similar vein, and this is not my general genre. In fact, I haven't actually seen this movie, but the thought of Muppets being in this movie tickled my funny bone, and I was thinking of the movie It. Have the characters be Muppets, but Pennywise is still the clown. Just having the clown go around terrorizing the Muppets.
Oh, poor Muppets. Poor sad Muppets getting scared in the sewers.
They just have to learn to believe in themselves.
Yeah. Oh man, that was fun. That was a good question. That was you can probably give us your ideas in the comments what movie you would pick and what character you would leave out. I'm sure there can be some pretty fun guesses and some fun ideas.
Yeah, and speaking of leaving comments, if you agreed, disagreed, thought we went a little wrong on our picks for most iconic cards, leave a comment down below. Let us know what we got right, what we got wrong. We'll definitely take a look and respond. Or if you have a question for next episode, again, drop a line. So if you liked what you heard, you can follow us on YouTube. You can subscribe on the podcasting platform of your choice. And James, where can they find you?
You can find me everywhere online at Dan Regal. And thank you all for listening. And we'll see you next time.
Hold on. I just realized I didn't say you can find me. Did I say you can find me on the website formerly known as Twitter at Citizens of Lorcana? I don't think I did. So
didn't? It's every time you say that.
I know, but I did. You can follow us on the podcasting platform of your choice. And then I usually say you can follow me on Twitter, but I went right into James, where can they find you? So
not even paying attention.
Unless I go into the editing. But anyway, there you go. We're professional here.
People who make it to the end can listen to this.
Absolutely.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Yep.